into December. I can't believe how quickly October, November, and December are progressing.
Well, whoever's keeping the calendar in the back is showing us that 2014 is almost gone.
Exactly.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh my.
Never that long ago when it was just in February.
And this speech will be up on YouTube, sure.
I need to get, I stopped a month ago and asked
David?
Stacy if I could get my 2 thumb drives from her. And so she had the thumb drives and she had never posted them. Then I talked to David. So she's got 3 or 4 meetings recorded, and then I have 2 or 3 meetings recorded right on the computer that I haven't downloaded. And we're going to download them all, and then I'll just take them to David. He said he'd upload them for me. So that's the plan.
Okay. I'm imagining that there may be some people who don't make this meeting that would be interested in this speech.
Well,
I think it's important.
I'll probably end up giving this half a dozen times in the next 6 months.
Hello, President.
So
How are you?
this will be a version.
If you've started, don't let me in.
No, I haven't. No, I'm setting my clock by you.
So I was visiting outside.
Actually, it's exactly 12, so whenever you're ready to start us with business and all of that, that's fine.
Catch my breath. Well, good afternoon. I have a small crowd today.
Yeah.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, and we had 2 speakers scheduled.
We
Are
have
they
another speaker expected.
okay? Don't see them yet, do I? Okay. Well, we'll get started. That's fine. I missed out on the business meeting last week.
Okay,
Okay. You want to fill us?
I'd be glad to. Yeah, one of the things that was in the minutes, and we might want to save some business for the end if we can squeeze in and get more people involved, was to go ahead and either unanimously consent or have a vote for extending the membership contest a month. And then the other item is the handout that I put in everyone's places in terms of goals and mentor and Thursdays that you prefer to speak in 2015. So it's kind of updating my information for my job. It's out and around. Am I forgetting anything, Jim, that we needed to talk about?
Those are the principal items that come to my mind, but I had to be reminded as well.
Okay, and then I've got a new item for discussion among the officers present, and that is, it occurs in 2015, the first Thursday is New Year's Day, and so I'm suggesting we move our officers training to the 3rd Thursday at noon instead of the 1st.
Okay.
And that's the only thing that's come up business-wise since our meeting.
Okay. And was that on the
15th
15th.
of January.
Okay.
I would move for moving the business meeting to the 3rd Thursday of January.
I would second that.
Oh, I got an appointment with the doctor up in Billings on the 9th of January, so I'm not sure if how
That's the
close.
2nd Thursday.
It's the 2nd Thursday.
Yeah, so we're good.
We're good.
Okay,
Good.
all right.
Yeah.
Okay. And that will continue to be at your
Yeah.
office.
Yeah, I'll change that on the reservation.
But you had a motion on the floor in a second, so I'll call the question. You call the vote.
All in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Hey.
No.
All right, so we meeting
Third Thursday.
third Thursday, which is January 15th at Pete's office. Well, it's a little after noon. If we'll all rise, we can do the pledge as Jim just suggested, however, we don't have any out. Jim, you probably know the pledge by heart, I'll let you start us.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And thank you for doing the pledge, and I guess I was thinking the mission, which you
Oh,
probably know by heart.
Blank.
I knew what you meant.
Yep, good.
Yeah.
Yep, and that's a good thing, because my kids, my words don't always match what I'm trying to say, and of course, that's the only time my kids listen to me, is when I don't say what I mean. But thank you, we can go ahead and be seated, the mission's not out. We'll go over the contest just a little bit, we still have this contest, and do we wanna vote now, or do we wanna wait later?
Let's do it in case more show up, let's do it at the end.
Okay, that sounds
We
good.
just leave it up, I hope.
You'll remember? Alright, well today our Toastmaster is Pete Bruno, which is always a wonderful Toastmaster, leader, and just a wonderful person to listen to. So let's all please welcome Pete Bruno.
Actually, Donna, it's the always pleasure to work with girl, but I've begun to wonder, since it's just the few of us, I've begun to wonder about Donna, whether she's just patriotic or has a little bit of a wild streak, because I noticed on Tuesday, when I had occasion to leave my car in her lot to deliver some things to the high school, I had her permission, that where her usually conservative vehicle is, there was this bright red pickup truck with this wild paint job on it, and I don't know whose that belongs to, but I was intrigued. Did not have enough time to stop and check and see if there was someone else sitting at her desk, or whether in fact there's more to Donna than what first meets the eye. But having now gone ahead and tickled your fantasy, let's go ahead and go with our meeting. We've got Virginia working on the times, and Jim thinks he's going to take a full 7 minutes, and so we'll start with him. I am not sure where our table topic person is, but I have got table topics. Put your mind at rest about that as well. So let's begin with Jim, and then Nancy was to have a speech, and if she arrives, we'll go ahead and introduce her, and otherwise we'll go ahead and do table topics and wrap up with some business. So thankfully, Jim went ahead and worked overtime to prepare this speech for us today that he knew was going to be ready by the 18th, but miraculously has concluded by the 11th today. And here's his introduction. On November 4th, Jim and 4 others were elected to the City Study Commission. This is mandated by the state legislature to review every 10 years, subject to approval of the voters in each county and municipality. The proposal for a study by the county did fail, but for the city it did pass. Monday and Tuesday, the 5 elected plus 1 appointed study commissioner went through training in Bozeman. There were 150 or so elected study commissioners from cities and counties across the state in attendance. Please welcome Jim as he talks about the 2014 City Study Commission to complete speech 1 in the Goodwill Speech in Public Relations Manual. The speech has been edited for the Study Commission. Jim.
Thank you, Pete. Which form of government do we as a city have? Obviously, we have a mayor and we have a city council. Now, that terminology is not used in the forms that are suggested in our Montana Code annotated, MCA. Under the powers of local government, which is a legislative function
We have general powers, so you can derive your authority from various laws passed by legislators, or in fact, you can adopt and create a self-governing power. We here in Glendive are currently under the Montana Code annotated. We are under general powers with all of the benefits and difficulties that that brings us. Now, the essential services that a city brings basically are fire protection, water and sewer, streets and maintenance of some kind, waste management, disposal, police protection, and then oftentimes, and in our case, we do have a Parks and Recreation Committee to deal with a lot of parks in this town. Basically then, the function of city government is to provide essential services. But we have to ask, what kind of services do we want? What level of service do we expect? And what level of service is really optional? And then the last of the four questions I have is, what quality of service are we willing to pay for? Those are bottom lines, folks. Local governments don't have articles of incorporation where details are spelled out. What that means then is we are relying on the Montana Code annotated section 7, articles 111 to 117, and therein you have a list of various things the legislature has passed regarding governance of cities and counties. In Ken Weaver's word, who is the director of the local government center in Bozeman on the university campus, that is a mess. Following that statement, he said, it is a rat's nest. That unfortunately does not, we did have a constitutional convention back in 1972. Some of us are old enough to remember that. A lot of effort went into that. There were 19 women and 79 or 80 men who met for a significant period of time, and they redefined the legislative process in Montana. Much of that was simply by the addition of the open meeting law. We now have better access to our government. Some people will make the statement, those who govern best govern least. Well, maybe, but we need also in the changes in the Constitutional Convention where the public has the right to know and hear its legislative processes being done and built and acted upon. One of the provisions that's available to towns in Montana is if you charter, and 39 cities have chartered in Montana, a charter allows you to do some things that you could not do elsewise. For example, I think all of us have had the experience of encountering someone who is distracted by being on a cell phone or they were texting. The city of Glendive currently has no authority granted by the legislature or any other way to enact that ordinance. That would be illegal for the city of Glendive to enact an ordinance to prohibit or to make that a misdemeanor crime or other crime here within the city limits. Not only that, but the police in Glendive cannot mandate a breathalyzer test by an obviously intoxicated motorist. those little things are only available if a community has chartered and written a charter. Now, the 16 or 6 or 7 different sections of the Montana Code Annotated are a very significant document, whereas a charter would normally come up in probably about a 2-page document. Many of us are involved in businesses or corporations where we have our articles of incorporation. Those are integral to our ability to function. They spell out things. Do you know what the mayor in Glendive, Montana, and the city council in Glendive, Montana are authorized by the state of Montana? Do you know what they are authorized to do? Nobody can figure it out. It cannot be figured out because there are, the way that the rat's nest that their Montana Code Annotated has in section 7 is indecipherable because it's piecemeal. That's where a charter form of government may well be the significant outcome of this study commission that I'm serving on. Are there any disadvantages of going to a charter form of government? Absolutely none. But it's interesting that you do have those options to put things into practice that are needed. I, for one, really, because I ride a motorcycle so much, I tell you what, I am absolutely paranoid about people with cell phones in ear. If I see that, I just am an extremely defensive driver, and I'm alive because of that. So the potential goal then for this study commission is then to write a charter for Glendive, have it reviewed by the city attorney, and then to have our clerk and recorder get it onto a ballot. I'm out of time already. It won't increase revenue. It won't help with staffing issues. It won't stop the mistakes made by the city council, but it will define what the duties of the mayor and the city council are. So stay tuned. This thing will be coming to you via the paper, by various talks in different service groups around town. And I am looking forward to Gary Kirkpatrick, Teresa Rankin, Bruce Miller, Alan Michaels, Clyde Mitchell, and myself involved in this process for the next 18 months. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Jim. Thank you very much. Appreciate the speech and the service. This is an important undertaking which you guys are involved with, and thank you for informing us about it. Well, I cannot go further in the meeting without having our word of the day counter and grammarian give us the word of the day for us to cleverly work into our table topic presentation. So if Donna would come up and intrigue us with the word of the day.
Thanks, Pete.
Thank you.
I tried to come up with a word with the holiday season, with Christmas holiday season. So I found the word Advent, which is a noun, and awaited arrival, appearance, start, commencement, onset, or occurrence. The Advent season includes the 4 Sundays preceding Christmas. Advent.
Thank you very much. So we have been waiting for the advent of a couple of members. And so that then having yet to happen, that particular advent, and because we are thinking this season about things that we are thankful for, remember with your table topics to end with or to include something for which you were thankful, whether it's the topic that you got or some part of your answer. Oh my goodness. Boy, we've got some humdingers here. I've never seen these, so we'll start with Donna.
And this is a minute?
This is a minute and a half.
A minute.
Yeah,
I'm
a
trying
minute
to
is,
pay
a minute is, a minute is green, 2 minutes is red.
Okay.
Thank you, Table Topics Master Pete. If you had to change your first name, what would you choose as your new name? Well, I don't think I would change my name. I have always liked my name, Donna. My dad is Daryl Dean, and my brother, older brother, is Darren Dean. And when I came along, my dad wanted to name me Geraldine. And Mom said no, and I'm glad she did, because I've never cared for Geraldine. I just have always liked Donna. And growing up, it was a nice name. There weren't a lot of Donnas, and it was just kind of nice to have my own name. And when my son came along, I wanted to name him something just different, which is Dayton. And he recently did a project for school on his name, and I was proud to say that he loves his name and wouldn't change it either, so that's nice. If I had to change my name, I remember in Spanish class, we had to pick a name to go by during Spanish class, and I picked the name Victoria. And I always thought that was a pretty name. You could go Victoria, Vicky, Tori, whatever, just different variations. So I guess if I had to have a different name, I would go with Victoria. And something I am thankful for, besides my name, I would have to say that my family is all healthy this year, which is nice. I appreciate that. So, thank you.
Thank you, Donna. Well done. Oh, this has got to be more than coincidence. I will time Virginia while she gives this table topic. When she's ready.
You're gonna be here to time it?
I got it. I'm ready.
Well, I'm not-
I can do that if we get into a place we need it.
Okay. I'm gonna put this away. Okay. What is the most exciting event you have ever witnessed? I think maybe one of the most exciting events I've ever witnessed and enjoyed, and the other people enjoyed it too, and I may have shared it with you sometime before, and that was when I was down at Reynolds to buy groceries, and I only had about 3 or 4 things to pay for, and at the first aisle there was a family checking out, and they were just, I mean, they had one of those big carts packed full of groceries, just paying for it. The person behind them had over about a half a cart of groceries, and I thought, I'm going to go down about 3 aisles where the next clerk was, and the gentleman in front of me had about 4 or 5 things to pay for, and the one just paying for his had about the same amount as we did, you know, he had about the same amount. And so it didn't take long to go through that aisle. And as I just stepped out the door, friend, at least I thought we were always friends, looked back to see where I was, just saw me step out the door of Reynolds, because their vehicle was parked 6 vehicles up on the right side, and mine was the same aisle, 8 vehicles up on the left side. And he says, "Here comes trouble," after I get about 4 vehicles behind him. And you know what I did? I just walked up beside him and stood next to him like this. And oh, I've never heard that name before. Isn't that an awesome name to have? You know what they did? They all burst into laughter. You know, and so if you don't take things seriously, the seriousness stays with them. And what was the last thing you wanted me to say?
Thankful.
Oh, thankful. I'm just thankful that a God could give me total peace and acceptance at that time, no matter what was said.
Very good. Thank you very much. Good job. Just under the limit. And there's the mark.
Okay, Still don't have a little swig. Oh, it says, what moment of glory have you watched another person celebrate that you too would love to experience if you could? The first thing that rose in my mind was I seen Dale Hayjack. He had worked for George Bryan, my neighbor, and he had about a 29-foot or 30-foot Krause toolbar, which is a big, heavy cultivator. And he was pulling it with a 5010 John Deere, and he didn't have any thermostat in there and so on, but he had this big toolbar, and they have some land that was southwest of our home place, and it was called the Burvee land. And he had a field over there, a strip, probably about maybe 80 acres, 80 to 100 acres in this kind of a big, long strip, 3/4 of a mile long. And Dale shoveled that. In other words, he cultivated it on the diagonal. And from a distance, it just looked beautiful, you know. And I thought to myself, you know, and you know, the thing about it is, I farmed with a 5010 myself, but I only pulled 23 feet with the toolbar. And of course, he was always blowing out the O-rings. I guess I gotta go. But these O-rings are for the hydraulic structure. The big heavy toolbar was so heavy that, of course, you know, that the O-rings would start leaking. But if I had a chance to, I guess I was envious, and it's a pleasant memory I have. I think Dale's over in the nursing home now, the VA nursing home. But that's all I had.
Thank you, Art. Well, thank you. Well done. I didn't hand select these for you. This is just luck of the draw. And I couldn't be more pleased with the way it's turning out, although I've not read mine yet. So Jim, when you're ready.
If you had to wear a button with a maximum of 6 words on it describing your outlook on life, what would your button say? Got it. Mine was given to me, Mr. Table Topics Chair. Leroy Moline's daughter, Paula, who's upstairs working, she lives in a house adjacent to us. So Dr. Moline would come over, and if he'd see me anywhere near, it was the next hour was in conversation. And he came to me one day, and he's typical, he always kind of looked down a little bit like this. And he says, Jim, I got something for you. He says, I know what we're going to put on your tombstone. Like he had any party of my tombstone. And here are those words. Though often wrong, never in doubt. Mr. Table Topics Chair.
Yeah.
And we are thankful for our friends. Though often wrong, never in doubt. Okay. Well, all right. So without further ado, and not cheating on the advent of my table topic, what is the most beautiful drive you have ever taken? Be as descriptive as possible. This is a tough one, fellow Toastmasters. I have taken many drives. I love to drive. Sometimes I'll get in the car and be headed to Webo and think, well, why not just go all the way to Bismarck? I mean, I'm that kind of a guy. I grew up in Arizona where it was a long drive from the ranch to every place. And the further you went, the better it got in terms of sort of big time. Getting all the way into Phoenix was like a once a year treat. Getting to Prescott was a monthly shopping trip. But the best drives I have ever taken always involve Corky. And so I try to call up a visual image of what's the most beautiful one that we ever took. And it's a tough one. It's a tough one because sometimes there are such gorgeous sunrises and sunsets, you might go there. But I think the one that takes the cake was, as the day was adventing, we pulled through Miles City. The one time before Walmart was there, they had this huge balloon fest. And in the early morning with all of those balloons going up into the sky as the sun rose is probably the one that I would say is indeed the most beautiful one that I've experienced yet. Fellow Toastmasters. So that about wraps us up, except for doing a little bit of the business. Donna, would you like to do that, or should I proceed? Okay, yeah. So let's have Mark's evaluation of Jim's speech, and then we'll have our timer report, and then our WAG report, and then we'll see if Donna wants me to do this last bit of business, or she wants to do it and wrap us up. I'm okay either way. Mark, are you ready?
Yeah, I guess so.
Okay, go for it.
Okay. Is it okay if I just stand there?
Yes.
Chair over. Well, Jim, I wanted to say that I read in the paper, I followed some things in the newspaper. And when you became a part of this 6-member study commission, I recognized your name there, and so on. I've been aware of and you made this kind of grueling trip up there to Missoula, I guess it was, to, to learn about charter government and learn about ordinances. And while it's on the top of my tongue, I wanted to mention also one of the newspaper articles, Peggy Iva made some comment to the mayor, Gary Jemison, about combining. Now, the way she described it, like the ordinances, like a city ordinance, is not as strong a legal document as, say, like you were referring to a charter. A charter is a stronger, legal, more binding. And but I thought, you were really informative and stuff. And you says here, which form of government do we have locally? And of course, and you made it say legislative with ordinances. And of course, a legislative type of government's a little stronger than the ordinances. And something that Peggy was trying to do was get some law adopted that would cover both ordinances and, well, possibly charter or legislative legalities. And of course, you made a reference to fire protection, waste management, police protection. Charter use of cell phones, said there was no ordinance there, our 2-page document. But anyhow, I guess I could mention this. It says, how did the audience react to the speaker? I thought we were attentive. And how was Toastmaster mentioned in the speech? Was it brought in smoothly and so on? And I put down that Jim's speech was informative, which would be like Toastmasters. And comment on the information presented. Did the speaker perform a service for the audience? And I put down yes. And the next one I put down no comment. and it says, what else might the speaker have said to promote the study commission? And he did suggest the charter government, so I'm not gonna elaborate too much more on that. I guess if I could put in my 2 bits worth, hope I'm not running out of time. But anyway, pardon me. I forgot what I was gonna say. I'll put my 2 bits worth in. Yeah, well, we will let it go. So anyhow, that's my, there you be. That's my evaluation.
Thank you, Mark.
Yeah, you're welcome.
How did we do on times there, Madam Timer?
On times, Jim had 8 minutes and 30 seconds on his time. And Donna was 1 minute, 28 seconds. I was 2 minutes and 21 seconds. Mark was 2 minutes and 4 seconds. Jim was 1 minute and 5 seconds. And Pete was 1 minute and 44 seconds.
Very good. Would you send your ballots for best table topic speaker down to Virginia so we can announce that last? And so let's go to Donna with the word of the day, Oz, and grammatical fox paws.
She's gonna have pause.
Thank you, Pete. Wave report. I believe Pete was the only one that used our word of the day, advent, but you did use it several times, so thank you. Oz, we had quite a few of those. I couldn't keep track of myself, but I'm sure that I had some. Virginia had 3. Mark had several, and you know, you guess, I guess. Pete, I didn't pick up on any of yours. Jim, you struggled with a word, but you corrected it and just kept on going, and then the next time that it was used in your speech, you had it right on, no problems. And I would just like to add one thing while I was listening to Pete's table topic. Even though he was describing the best view that he had ever seen while on a drive, he ended his table topics with yet. And I think that just goes to show his positive outlook. So, thank you, Pete.
Okay,
And I'll let you go ahead and finish this up.
all right, thank you, Donna. I think I will, and are you ready?
Yeah.
Virginia, oh, okay, because I just saw some ballots coming in, but you're experienced at that job, so I trust that you are already. So who takes away the
Yes.
bacon on table topics?
Our table topic was Donna.
Oh, very good. Congratulations, Donna.
But everyone
All
else-
right.
Donna got one.
Thank you. I don't see a ribbon set out for you, but I'm sure that's okay. We can remedy that if need be.
Could have doubled.
All right. So we just have a little bit of business to do. I am looking forward to Nancy's speech in progress because the title is intriguing, Got Garbage. So maybe that is better for the new year and New Year's resolutions, but in any case, she may have that for us next week. Donna, you've got a reading to do for us of about 12 to 15 minutes next week. Peggy asked to give a speech, and Virginia is working on her last speech to hit her next level with her manuals. So we've got 4 potential speeches, and my hunch is that at least 3 of those will show up. Melody, who wanted to give a speech today, has had some changes in her life, and she hopes to be with us next week, but without a speech. So that's an update on next time when I'm to be general evaluator and it's Nancy's turn to be Toastmaster. If you're ever kind of wondering the method to my madness, when it's our week to do a job, I just move them up 1. So if, for instance, general evaluator comes after Toastmaster, and because I've given a lot of speeches in November, I gave myself 2 working meetings. So like after your Toastmaster, then you're general evaluator, and after your general evaluator, then you're something else. table topics maybe, that I just rotate them up one, and so we all get turns as we work on our competent leader program with
Who
the
would be
different
our table
jobs.
topics next time?
Table topics next time would be Mark, and he's aware of it.
Okay.
Yeah. And, yep, with that head cold, I put it out, did I forget anybody? That looks like I forgot Timer. So, we may have to go ahead and get me to do double duty or find someone who's,
Well, I'm the WAG if I believe.
you are the
believe,
WAG.
and I could get the
You could do the timer as well. I don't know, that's, and secretary. We'll see if we can't, we'll see if we can't go ahead. Yeah.
I should be trying to
Do So it does fall upon our lot to go ahead and cast lots or something about this contest. In our officers' meetings, we discussed the possibility of extending this membership contest 1 month for a couple of reasons. One, to give more chances. Also, there's a fairly good amount of money in here, but what we discovered in looking at things with Jim's help was that the other membership contest that starts in the new year doesn't start until February. So we decided to recommend to you and see if you would favor it with a vote to extend this membership contest through January. It was in the minutes. I don't remember the fourth Thursday in January would be the last time you could get points for this contest. So do we have a motion to that effect in a second, and then could we have a vote on that, please?
I move that we extend the current contest to the end of January, and then at the second meeting, or the second Thursday regular meeting in February, award the contents of the envelope.
Okay.
I second the motion.
So the motion is that we would go ahead and extend the contest through the last meeting in January, and then award the prize at the second meeting on the fourth Thursday in February. And we have
Second Thursday.
on the second Thursday.
on the second
that is the
Thursday.
first.
Okay, on the second Thursday in February, the one right after. Okay, very good. So the second Thursday, the first club meeting in February that falls on the second Thursday is the motion, and that's seconded?
Mhm.
Yeah, I second the motion.
Okay, good, just being clear now that the motion was clarified. Okay, so any further discussion,
No,
pros and cons? Okay, so all of those in favor of extending the contest per the motion indicate by saying aye. Aye, and then opposed, same sign. There aren't any ayes on the second one, so the motion does carry, and we will extend it then. And then we can start that other contest in February. That's great. We will learn more about that contest in the meanwhile. Thank you for a good motion that encourages us to do a good job. That being said, it is about time to adjourn unless there's any other business. Mr. Secretary, Master of Arms, President Donna,
Just to remind everyone that our next meeting will be next week.
next week.
And will we always be in this room?
You have to check the board. I'm not sure what she has done with the room. And I could probably check that handy dandy little program sends me a separate email for each time she puts us in the schedule. The best thing to do is to check the board out there. But let me check those in general and see
And maybe we
what she
wanna
has done.
put the sign more like straight out here, just because if we do have someone new, or it might be easier to find us. I mean, we can usually find our way, but if we have a visitor.
I noticed Jim did put our other
Oh,
sign straight up
Okay, good.
Oh,
Maybe
there in
it's-
the hallway.
Okay, maybe I just didn't see it.
Yeah, so
Thank you.
you bet. But, yeah, I wondered about that as well.
that's all.
So just check the board before you set up, and then last but not least, so one of the things that Jim said in the meeting was, please fill out your form before you leave the meeting. And I promised I'd tease him about that, and I have kept my word.
11th day, I guess, 11th.
So that does adjourn, and thank you very much.
Okay,
So the form we're talking about is the one in regard to your preferences for 2015.
Yeah. Say, Donna,
Mhm.
I was gonna ask you, if you might consider being my mentor,
Sure.
you would. And I don't wanna overload you if you've already got, you know, you're already a mentor to too many others, but they request, a mentor for the year of 2015. And the reason I ask is usually when I call, I can usually find you at home on the phone, see? So, and I know you're very knowledgeable about Toastmasters, so.
Sure.
But I don't know, Pete is he's